Righty. So we're going to be starting off with the Tier 6 destroyers. Alright, so we have 6 tiers. We have S tier, which is just best of the best. You're going to pick that every time. We have A tier, which is really good. B team, slightly above average, if not average, but on the better side. C is slightly below average. D is just below average. You don't really want to play it. And F is just bad. You just do not want to even touch. You do not want to even touch that stuff. Alright. So, off of the rip, we have the Benson. So, 5x 127s, really good fire rate, really good turret traverse. It has 10 torps, but you know it's the low damage ones, so not really going to be anything too insane. It's got the long smoke, which is really good. For tier 6 rank, this is a really good boat. As another thing to mention, this is for solo carry potential. So this will be like you are by yourself in either standard or ranked. That is how we're going to be ranking these things. So you have the 5x 127s, which have a really good fire rate, good turret traverse, good torpedoes. The torpedoes don't have insane amounts of range, and their damage is kind of eh. But I mean, you have 10 of them. They're not slow, but they're really good for denying caps. And then you have the long smoke screen, which can really help you, and you have incredible DPM. So I think we can put Benson. It has fairly average health pool too. I think we'll put it in B, and then we can switch it up to A2 if we feel like, because it's B leaning into A. Because there are things better than this boat in particular, but it's still a very strong boat. Next, Sims. Actually, no. Benson's A. Considering what we're about to go through, Benson is easily A tier. Okay, next up, Sims. So, usual long American smokescreen. However, it has one less gun, and it has a little bit less health than Benson does. But she's fairly maneuverable. She's not the same level as Charles F. Hughes, but she's just about the same. Also, the 5x2 torpedoes, long American smokescreen, decent speed. Thing is, though, the torpedoes are really slow, and they have even worse damage, I believe, than Benson's. So, B leaning to C, probably. I think C. Because having that one less gun can kind of really hurt your DPM, especially since American cruisers are only armed, American destroyers are only armed with the single guns. And those slow torps, it's literally it just has speed boost and smoke. Now, yes, it is the extended American smoke, but it's C leading into B. It's C leading into B, in all honesty. It's not a horrifyingly bad destroyer, but I think there are things better than this. But it's right in the middle, kind of on the worst side, though. Kid is I think an A tier. Having a heal, speed boost, and smoke on a destroyer, having by far either the best or some of the best anti-aircraft for a destroyer at this tier, at tier 6. She's a Fletcher at tier 6. What else do you want to know? She even could possibly go into S. We'll put her in S for right now, because you have it's a Fletcher at tier 6. Now, yes, she only has 5 torpedo tubes, but as a gunboat and as a solo player, I think you could easily carry a game with Kid. It's just you have to know when to pop your smoke, and you have to know when to use your torpedoes. Your torpedo range actually kind of hurts you. I think we'll do that, yeah. Benson's above average. Yeah, Benson's above average. Yeah, that looks good. Because if Kid had the same torpedo range as she did on PC, then I think she would be an S tier. But for right now, I mean, solid A, sweet, long smoke, heal, speed boost, decent maneuverability, great turret traverse. Just with the low torpedo range, meh damage, and long shell travel time. I think that kind of holds her back from being the best of the best. Benham. Benham is rough. Benham is very, very, very rough. Because she has 16 torpedo tubes. 16 of them. However, there is slight issue. Slight issue here. She has 4 guns, and she has a low health pool. And if you try to put sims on her to get the extra 2,000, 3,000 health, she loses her concealment, which is really the key with Benham. She only has, like, I think just 8-kilometer torps, and then with Gleaves you can have like 8.8. So she lives and dies by her concealment, because her AA is non-existent, low health pool. They are the American guns, but she only has 4 of them. 16 torpedo tubes, and they do reload fast, but they're tickle torps. They do very little damage per torp hit. They're great. Benham is an absolute monster at denying caps. I just have to think, the way she is here on Legends, she kind of got neutered, but I mean, if she had the 10-kilometer torpedo range at tier 6, she'd be absolutely busted. But I think for solo carry potential, probably at C, leaning towards D. Because there's, I mean, just these, the Kid and the Fletcher have more, they have a whole nother turret. They have relatively better torpedoes. They do slightly more damage. And they have more range. Well, Benson has more range, but Kid doesn't. But I mean, you're not going to be torping many things in a Kid. And if you are, you've either something's gone horribly wrong, or yeah. But I think Benham, she's hard to carry in a solo. Ranked, she wouldn't be that much better, because there's less things to shoot at, and ranked is all about controlling capture zones. But I just think, in your average random experience, Benham just isn't going to be the top boat out there. She's kind of on the lower side of things. Alright, Jervis. Jervis. This boat is an absolute beast. 360-degree turrets. She's got the fast-acting smoke screens. Yes, they only last like 40-some seconds, but you can have 6. You have 6 stock, and with Smogathon, you can have up to 8. So it's perfect. Like I said, 360-degree turret traverse. Pretty decent HE damage. Short fuse AP, of course. The only thing you have to worry about is the poor torpedo angles. That is commonplace for all the British destroyers. She also has 10 torpedoes, which is more than Lightning. I believe she has 10 torpedoes. Pretty average AA. And she has access to a 3-minute long hydro. Now, it's not going to be the same range as the Germans' hydro, but I think she's a very good cap contester. Quick puff smoke. You have hydro to charge into a cap. Yes, you won't be out spotting things, but if a DD tries to smoke up in a cap, you just rush him with your hydro. You can just angle in and kill him, because you have all 3 guns on target at all times. Jervis is easily B, possible A. Because then we get to Cossack, which is easily A. She doesn't have the 4th turret, which is what Cossack 1938 is going to be when it eventually comes into the game. And yes, she has less torpedoes, but she has something that the Jervis and all of the British tech tree destroyers do not have, and that is a speed boost. She also has less smoke. I believe she can have with up to 3 stock and maybe 4 with Smogathon, but they are slightly longer smoke screens. And obviously she has hydro, but that speed boost can obviously help you get out of positions a lot. Now, yes, she has the same maneuverability, but that speed boost can really help you just get out of an excuse me, I can't talk. Just like dip out of an island. And she has the same guns as Jervis, same hydro. She just has speed boost, better smoke, roughly the same concealment. I feel like Cossack is an easy A, along with Kid. And also, only having 4 torps, it's the same situation. For solo carrying potential, you need to use your guns, like use islands as long as you can. And if you can just hunt down the destroyers, you won't really have to worry about torpedo tubes that much. Alright, Vauquelin. Well, She obviously has the 139 millimeter main guns, which really helps with her DPM. Pretty decent torpedo alpha. I believe she has 3x3 torps. I could be wrong on that. I could be wrong. With speed boost, obviously she's a super fast ninja, but she doesn't have smoke, and she only has the one main battery reload booster, and 2 or 3 speed boosts and damage control, obviously. French DD perk of having their hull saturate faster. It's a bonus in taking gunfights, but without smoke, you really have to know when. They're not all shit. Trust me, they're not all shit. There are a lot of hidden gems in Tier 6. But Vauquelin, I think, for a solo carry potential, you have to play more in the open water. And if you miss position in open water ships, now yes, you have the speed boost to disengage fast, but I mean, not having that smoke is kind of a killer. Because you have islands become your best friend. They already should be in a destroyer. But in French destroyers especially, you're fast and you have great gun velocity, and you do have that one main battery reload booster to help. But as soon as you lose that main battery reload booster, you're looking at like 5 or 6 second reloads on your main guns. And that's not going to help you win a gunfight against any other destroyer. So, with main battery reload booster, easy B tier. But just every other situation, I think she's a C. Now, I'm not saying that the French destroyers themselves are bad, but, playing in the open water, using the speed to your advantage is a very rewarding playstyle, but it's kind of hard to master. Oh boy. The Terrible. This ship's a rough one. Because she doesn't have the main battery reload booster, and she's a Le Fantasque down tiered. So she has the 3x3 with the 1 triple torp on each side, and then the one on the back. Well, the one in the middle, midships. So, yes, she has no main battery reload booster, but she has, since she's a Le Fantasque, her speed boost, and, well, she already moves faster. She's going to have a faster speed, and that speed boost can really help her kick her over 50 knots, which is huge, because I don't believe you can get Vauquelin over 50. Plus, she has the improved 139s that have the higher caliber, so these guns really do, they really pose a threat to cruisers that show broadside when you use your AP. But just once again, not having smoke, you only have speed boost, so in terms of utility, you just have your speed boost. That's it. Great torps, great guns, but low DPM because you're going to be reloading in 5.5, 6 seconds. Yeah. The Terrible only has the engine boost. That's all she has. So I think if she had more utility, she'd be a B tier. But yeah, I think that's a fair assumption. It just their lack of utility. All that they have is speed boost and then the one main battery reload booster. That's it. Now they're great ships by themselves, but it's just the lack of utility kind of holds them back. Definitely a gun reload build would probably be better, or you could go with a torp build too, like a Kleber. But it's once again, you have cruiser guns on a destroyer, so if you don't have main battery reload booster, you have to be very careful about when choosing your fights. Because if you face into something like Benson with full health against a Terrible, if you can't hit your torps, the Benson's gonna win the fight. Because your hull will saturate, but he's gonna be pumping out shells every 2.5, 3 seconds. You're gonna be waiting 5, 6 seconds to get one salvo downrange. Plus, you don't have great turret traverse like the Americans do. You have relatively long turret traverse for destroyers. So great ships, but kind of lack utility. Kind of holds it back. Leberect Maass. Slow torps, German torps, low range, okay damage, not anything insane. But holy crap, this ship has some of the best concealment for a destroyer in the game. And she also has access to, I believe, a 4.4 kilometer hydro, which is insane, because I believe you can get a 4.9 kilometer concealment on this thing, and with the 4.4 hydro, it just makes it a monster at captain testing. And you have the 128s, which are the same guns that the Z35 has. And speed boost, yeah. Smoke, yeah. But reload. It's not as fast as the Americans, not as slow as the French. They're slower than the Americans. Well, they're definitely slower than the French, but they're not as fast as the Americans. They're not as maneuverable. But they are really good captain testers with their hydro. They pose a threat to destroyers with smoke, and that low concealment and fast torp reload too. Germans have a really fast torpedo reload. I think that puts her at B. Because if you're in a German destroyer and anything gives you broadside, preferably cruisers and battleships, but the occasional destroyer that angles, yeah, but especially cruisers and battleships, just load AP. You will be pleasantly surprised at how much damage you can do in German destroyers, especially with the 128s and 150s. Alright, next up on the list, Z39. Alright, so for me, personal bias, I'd put this into A tier. This is one of my favorite destroyers at the tier, because it's a Z23 down tiered. It has one less turret, but other than that, it's exactly the same. But I think you have to put it into B tier, because she has speed boost, which is non-existent on most destroyers. Well, non-existent on many destroyers, but compared to the other premium, well, no, that's a lie. She has speed boost, smoke, hydro. I believe it's I think she has 5-kilometer hydro, the same as Z35. If not, it's still a very powerful hydro, like 4.8. Fast torpedo reload, and she has the 150s, so those are even more of a monster to broadside cruisers. Yeah, if a cruiser gives you broadside in a Z39, just load AP in the chamber and just watch the Citadels rack up, or like broadside battleships, watch like easy 4.5, 5,000 damage salvos every 6 seconds. And now, once again, it's the not as maneuverable, not as fast. You have the speed boost to kind of help you with that. Hydro makes you great for contesting caps, destroyers, and smoke. Torpedoes, once again, the standard. They're slow, not so great range, but okay damage and okay reload. So I think those tendencies plus the great utility of this ship put it into B tier, because German destroyers are very good with utility. Z35, do we even need to talk about it? A tier. 128s have great AP. 5-kilometer hydro on a tier 6 destroyer is absolutely insane. Once again, the box standard torpedoes, slow reload, and damage, and range. Well, no, fast reload, but slow speed, my bad. But, I mean, this ship is just, it's so good. That AP slaps things. It can even, like, touch destroyers if they're not careful. The fast torp reload can really help you just keep shitting out torps over and over and over again. Okay, easily, I think Z35 is an A tier. Like, yeah, you're not gonna have as good of an AA as Cossack or Kid, but I mean, just in pure terms of utility usage and just DPM, Z35 is easily an A tier. Okay, Akatsuki. Great torpedoes. You have the 3x3 long lances that can just absolutely just devastate battleships that like eat 4 or 5 of them. It's basically a baby Shima. Because we all know how torpedo protection works in this game. It doesn't seem to work half the time, and you'll eat floods on the belt almost every single time. But kind of on the guns. I believe you have like an 8-second reload stock. So these destroyers, even more than most, they live and die by their concealment. And because if you go full concealment build, you'll have like a under 5-kilometer concealment, but then you'll be sacrificing health, you'll be sacrificing gun reload, gun accuracy. So if solo carry potential, these aren't really a great pick in ranked. They can be, but they're not the best, because it's really all about utility usage and cap denial. And these things, they're great at hunting down battleships. That's really about it. They're great at just shitting out torps and against straight lining battleships and just doing maximum damage against them. But in gunfights, you have one gun forward and two aft. Your guns are going to be better running away. So really, what you want to do is like get in, throw your torps, get spotted as you are retreating, and then engage in a gunfight. That's really what you want to do in these things. Smoke, speed boost, yeah, you're fast, you're stealthy, but if you're caught out in one of these things, you're not going to last long, or you're going to be easily losing 2/3 of your health in like under 30 seconds. So I think in terms of solo carry, rank potential, it's right in between B and C. I'm going to put it in C, but it's like C leading into B. It has the good gun alpha, the HE alpha, but you're reloading in 8 seconds. Shiratsuyu. So you have 4x2 long lances instead of 3x3. She recently got a buff to her reload. I believe she reloads in like with my build at least, she reloads in like 4.3 seconds. So you have the long lances, you have decent smoke screen. You can also switch out for a torpedo reload booster, but you obviously only get one charge. Now, of course, if you put a cruiser commander on, you can get multiple, but I don't know why you want to do that. But smoke, pretty decent reload, decent torp reload, great torpedoes, and they're not as stealthy as the Akatsukis, but they're still pretty stealthy. So I think after the recent buff, I think you can put her into B tier. If she positions herself correctly, she might have a chance to win in a gunfight with an American destroyer. It will be close, and it will depend on if you can hit your shots. But after her recent buff, I think she can go toe to toe with easily a British destroyer and easily an American destroyer. But you have to be careful with your positioning. It will be rough though if it's a Benson or a Kid. Those are ones where it's like you need to know when to use your smoke screen, try and launch torpedoes to make sure they're not bringing all 5 guns to bear. But after her recent buff, I think we can easily put Shiratsuyu in B tier. Okay, Asashio. Oh boy. This one. Another case of living and dying by concealment. She is basically like the love child of a Shiratsuyu, a kangaroo, and an Akatsuki. Because she has pretty decent reload on her main guns for destroyer at least. Not really decent. I think she's just around 7 seconds. But once again, great concealment, speed boost, torpedo reload booster, and smoke, which is a great combination. Now she only gets one booster, but every destroyer can get either one main battery reload booster or one torpedo reload booster. So, great torpedoes, great HE alpha, great concealment, smoke, speed boost, torpedo reload booster, but slow reload, poor turret angles. Well, not poor turret angles, but poor turret setup. Just the one gun forward and 2 aft. Kind of really, if you're caught out of position and your guns aren't turned in the right way, you're going to probably lose that gunfight. But I think, in terms of solo carry, I think we can put Asashio in B just because she has better torpedoes than Akatsuki does, more health, and relatively the same amount of stealth, too. Plus, obviously, the better utility of torpedo reload booster and smoke. Really just, it's a great combination, but there are better things to pick. Yukikaze, I think we can throw that. We'll put that in B tier too, because she has an even faster. She also is another case of a down tier 7 destroyer. She is a Kagero that's been taken down, so she has like a 6-second reload on the main guns. She obviously has the 4x2 long lenses that do like 21k damage a torp, so like 3 torpedoes can kill a Scharnhorst, which is just absolutely dumb. And she has the great HE Alpha, which is common with all Japanese ships. Fairly decent turret traverse for a destroyer, especially a Japanese destroyer. And pretty decent concealment. It's not going to be like the Lebrek Maass or Akatsuki levels, but pretty decent. But she has a really good gun alpha, great torpedoes, pretty decent stealth, smoke, and speed boost. So I think we can slot Yuki into B tier. Alright, about halfway through. Okay. Minsk. I believe Minsk also recently received the buff on her reload. Now, this is a tough one, because Minsk is commonplace for Soviet destroyers. 4-kilometer torpedoes, but great gun DPM. Poor concealment, but really fast. Great fire chances, and you have smoke and speed boost, but you have slow traverse time on your guns. Obviously, the 4-kilometer torpedoes, and I mean, you have plenty of health, but I mean, you are going to be seen from a mile away. But if you know how to kite in the open water, and you know how to like set up crossfires and try and take enemy salvos away from shooting at your teammates, Minsk can be an absolute monster DPM wise. I think for that she deserves to go in B tier. Also, in each tier, I'm not gonna like go in depth and rate certain ones above another, but yeah, Minsk, after her recent buff, again, she's just an absolute monster with DPM. You just have to know how to position yourself correctly. But that goes with all of these things, all of these destroyers. If you don't know how to position yourself correctly in this game, you're not going to succeed with any of these ships, regardless of how strong or weak they are. Ognevoi, I think she's D leading to F, in all honesty. She only has the 2x2 guns. Yes, they are the same guns. I believe they are the same guns that are found on Tashkent and Palo Emilio and Khabarovsk. But, I only have the 2x2. You have 3x2 torpedoes, which aren't insane. They have an okay reload, range, damage, smoke, speed boost, but it's like combining the worst and like a little bit of the best of Soviet destroyers. You have smoke, so you can at least hide, but you only have 4 guns and 2 turrets. You only have 6 torpedo tubes, and you're going to be seen coming from a mile away. It's a great collector's ship, I have to say. It's a badge of honor, and basically it's just a collector's ship. In all honesty, like it's basically a boy at tier 5, but it existed before the boy was even in the game. So it's a tier 5 ship that's been moved up, basically. So I think in terms of solo carry, Ognevoi's D lead to F, in all honesty. Leningrad, no, F. I'm sorry, the Pognevoi is going into F tier. Poor DPM, poor concealment, poor maneuverability. There's not a lot of, the pros aren't enough to outweigh the cons, in my opinion. Leningrad, so she didn't get the same buff that Minsk did, but she does have relatively the same amount of DPM. She has longer range torpedoes, and obviously smoke speed boost. But once again, poor concealment, poor maneuverability. Well, in reality, the poor maneuverability just means poor turning circle, but I think we all get that. But I think she also is here, also in B tier. And C maybe? Because in reality, in any game, like especially ranked, considering ranked down here, because yeah, you have the good torpedoes and you have the great DPM, but Minsk is it's better DPM wise, and yeah, you should be trying to use your torpedoes in Leningrad, but like in Minsk, especially, she's not going to be a great ranked pick, but in standard, she's going to be a great pick, especially if you can, like I said, get on flanks, draw the enemy's attention away from your teammates. Oh, I think she's C leading it to B. Just Minsk having better DPM kind of puts her ahead of Leningrad, even though she's a premium. Okay, Blyskawicka. Oh boy. The pierogi. I think. Oh boy. She has 7 guns and a 1x. She has 3 guns 4 guns aft, 6 torpedo tubes. Poor, not really like Russian destroyer levels of poor concealment, but they're not it's not going to be as stealthy as most torpedo boats. Pretty decent gun DPM. It's not anything insane, but it's pretty good. Torps, low range, not like Russian level, but like range. Not really anything insane. Okay damage, and you only have 6 of them. You have smoke speed boost. I think she's just below average for the tier. I think she's in C tier. I love playing the pierogi to death. Don't get me wrong. I love this boat, but I just think for solo carry potential, there are better boats to play. There just are. Okay, the Orkan. Okay, so you have a radar on a Lightning. So you have 360-degree turrets. You only have one set of 4 torpedo tubes, so that's kind of a pain. And you trade out 4 more torpedoes for 1 secondary gun, slightly better AA. But you have speed boost and radar. Now, you do have really good fire chances, which is pretty commonplace on the Pan-Asian destroyer. The 3 Pan-Asian destroyers in the game. And you have pretty good DPM, because you're a Lightning at tier 6. And you have a radar, which can help. Now, it's only 15 seconds, and it's only 7.5 kilometers, but for a destroyer, it's pretty nice. But the lack of great torpedoes and the lack of smoke kind of hurts. The radar is nice, but, I mean, it's a better division boat, because the radar, it's like, yeah, you can radar a destroyer in a cap, or that's in a smoke screen, but you have nowhere to hide when trying to get that, because if you position yourself behind an island to radar, you're not in a position to open fire, so it's not really going to be benefiting yourself. It's a great division boat, don't get me wrong, great division boat, but solo carry in standard and ranked, I think it's C. Gadjha Madha. Once again, it's Jervis class, so it does not have the 360-degree turrets, sadly, but pretty decent turret traverse, pretty decent DPM guns. Deep water torps, though, which really hurts when contesting caps. Great for hunting down battleships, and kind of okay for cruisers, but not. It's just absolutely useless against destroyers. So your guns are the only things you have going for you against other destroyers. Yes, you can have a radar, but like your primary offensive firepower, like for all destroyers, your primary method of offensive firepower against large targets are your torpedoes. And yes, you're not supposed to be throwing your torpedoes at destroyers, but it can kind of help in knife fighting situations or trying to deny caps. And with the Pan-Asians, their deep water torpedoes are great against battleships and cruisers. But like I said, they're just it's not even worth like insulting them. They just pass right underneath the destroyer. They don't do anything. If an enemy destroyer is dumb, think they're going to get hit, you might be able to force them out of a smoke screen. I've done that before. You're not you're not going to hit them, but you're hoping that they might get scared and they might leave their smoke screen. But a smart player will obviously know differently. And only having those guns, they're okay guns. They're Jervis guns. They're pretty good. But not having those 360-degree turrets and deep water torps kind of puts it down here. Their smoke is nice, though. But I think the Pan-Asian ships are much better in destroyers. But solo by yourself, Gadjha Madha can be kind of a rough experience. So I think we'll put her in D, looking into C. Ship Smasha. She has a heel, but she has low gun range and low torpedo range, which is a curse and a blessing. Because it means, hey, you can only be spotted up to like 6 or 7 kilometers, because that's how far your guns go out. But you can only be spotted and you can only shoot within 6 or 7 kilometers, so you're not going to be able to throw DPM down long range, and that can kind of hold you back. Now, yeah, you have 10 torpedoes, and you have an American smokescreen on a British destroyer with British guns that go 360 and a heel. It's a nice ship, especially with the Orkan. You get the extra buff to your fire chance and your HE damage, which is nice, and it's Jervis guns, so it's really good. But the ship is only going to be good in knife fighting scenarios, which are the only scenarios you can get in. So solo carry, just you're risking yourself every single time you go in for torps or just try to engage, because you have the low gun range, low torp range, so it forces you to get up close. And in a game where radar exists at tier 6, it literally can't even shoot back if it's being raided by an Indy or a Talon. It can't shoot back unless they're pushing in. So I think that kind of puts it back in C, maybe D tier. D. Yeah, the solo carry not. Just it doesn't have the range. It doesn't have the range to really compete. Charles F. Hughes, being represented by the Sims Black. Great speed, great maneuverability. It's basically exactly the same as the Sims. I know that the ship itself, it's a Benson class destroyer that's had turret 53 removed. It has the 5x2 torps that have low range, damage, low speed, and long reload. That's something that's not great. Sims has a better torp reload than the other American destroyers. I did forget to mention that. But just you're trading that for more speed. If you're going to be fast, why not just play one of the Frenchies that are arguably better than the Charles F. Hughes? Now, yes, you have the long smoke screen, but they're just better American destroyers to play, and there's better destroyers in general to play than the Charles F. Hughes. Not a bad ship, though, but just they're better things to play. And last but not least, we have the Kiev. You have a heal, speed boost, and smoke on a destroyer, which is really nice. Now, yes, you have the standard Russian destroyer concealment, where you're going to be spotted from 3 miles away, but you also have enough torpedo range to actually engage targets with your torpedoes outside of your range. So with this ship, I think you could probably slide this into high C, if not B tier. Because you have the same guns as Tashkent at a down tier. Plus you have heal, smoke, and speed boost. Now, yes, it's not going to be the long American smoke screen, but you still have a smoke screen. And you have plenty of torps that have plenty of range, decent speed. But that concealment can kind of hurt. So, I think low B, high C is where we can slot Kiev. Yeah, that's tier 6 destroyers. We busted out in like 30 minutes. Yeah. So we have Kid, Cossack, and Z35 in A tier. Then we have Benson, Jervis, Lebrecht Maass, Z39. That's Shiratsuyu, Asashio, Yukikaze, Minsk, and Kiev in B tier. Then we have Sims, Benham, Vauquelin, Terrible, Akatsuki, Leningrad, Blyskawicka, Orkan, and Charles F. Hughes in C tier. And then in D tier, we have Gadjha Madha and Ship Smasha. And in F tier, we have the Ognevoi. So thank you all for watching. Make sure you all stay tuned for the next couple videos are going to come out when we rank the rest of tier 6 and tier 7 and legendary tier. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.